Thank you for being here. If a friend, family member, or frankly anyone in this room today were to suffer a hemorrhagic stroke or traumatic brain injury, the good thing is 90% of us would get to the hospital alive. However, about 80% will be dead or permanently brain damaged within 30 days. Why is this? Because there's no way to deliver current therapy directly to the brain to prevent catastrophic secondary brain damage that occurs after the initial incident, such as rebleeding and a secondary stroke. It gets worse. The average age is around 30, 40, and 50 years old. You might know some names that were in public. Natasha Richardson, Gary Coleman, Brett Michaels was a lucky one. Edge Therapeutics seeks to revolutionize the treatment to prevent secondary brain damage after hemorrhagic stroke and traumatic brain injury. And we do this by delivering or taking today's minimally effective oral and intravenously delivered medicines and deliver them directly to the brain via a site-specific sustained release delivery system. But unlike many of the past investment and treatment failures that focused on primary disease, stroke, traumatic brain injury, we're not trying to prevent the primary disease. They have logistical barriers. Our patient population is very well defined. They're already in the hospital and they're already under the care of neurosurgeons. So what does secondary brain damage look like? We don't have to be a neurosurgeon to see this. This is a 40-year-old female that comes to the hospital. The normal artery is the cerebral artery at presentation to the emergency room. Day 7, you can see, obviously, there's no oxygen-rich blood going to the brain. This indirect stroke, or this indirect damage, kills neurons that were not injured during the primary area. That's what secondary stroke or secondary brain damage looks like. Again, the problem is not current therapy. Current therapies are not bad. The problem is they're only minimally effective because you can't deliver high enough doses to the brain, to the site of injury, to prevent the secondary complications. Higher doses that would be necessary to get those concentrations result in side effects such as heart attack, an ischemic stroke, and also lowering of blood pressure, which steals oxygen-rich blood away from the brain. What we do is quite simple. We take the current drugs. We have our sustained release proprietary drug delivery system that we deliver straight to the brain. And the doctors are already in the brain while they're doing it. So it's what they do. The last thing they do is they inject our products and it's delivered over a sustained release period of time. So it does not disrupt the typical neurosurgical flow. Our lead product is called Nymogel. This is a combination of generic calcium channel blocker nimodipine in a biodegradable polymer drug delivery system made up of already FDA-approved materials. And as you can see, you put Nymogel next to the brain arteries, which are going to narrow up, and you deliver the drug over 14 days, which is when the patient is at risk for the secondary brain damage. How big of a problem is this? According to the American Heart Association, 3 million people each year suffer a hemorrhagic stroke. Traumatic brain injury, which causes bleeding into the brain, is a signature injury in the global war on terror and something military doctors are very concerned with. But in the civilian population, traumatic brain injury is the number one cause of death and disability in children. In fact, if you add up every other cause of death in children and combine them, it still doesn't make up traumatic brain injury. And as far as traumatic brain injury, also the number one cause of death in people under age 45. If we leave here today, we're more likely to have a moderate to severe traumatic brain injury or hemorrhagic stroke than developing 3 types of cancers: lung cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, MS, AIDS, HIV, and spinal cord disease combined. So it happens quite a bit. Edge has a robust pipeline, 4 different products, all taking FDA-approved off-patent drugs and deliver them straight to the brain. The first one, Nymogel, to prevent secondary stroke. The second one, subdural hematoma, Natasha Richardson, to stop rebleeding. The third one, intracerebral hemorrhage, GG1960, Gary Coleman. to prevent rebleeding after that. All of these drugs have potential of more than $500 million in sales, and they all will be protected by the Orphan Drug Act because they all address orphan drug populations that will give them an additional 7 years of market exclusivity. Who's our team? Well, I'm lucky enough to have one of the top 5 researchers in the world on brain injury. Dr. Arlock MacDonald is the endowed chair of neurosurgery at St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto. His research over the last 20 years in preventing secondary brain injury have led us to Edge Therapeutics. Carl Serrano, my other partner, is a practicing attorney and ex-Wall Street veteran. And myself, I've spent the last 20 years in the hospital critical care marketplace as a pharmaceutical executive, but more specifically in the neurocritical care marketplace, starting business units, customer bases, and also societies in different areas there. What have we done over the last year? We've raised about $1.5 million in seed fund, $500,000, $500,000 from the state of New Jersey. We've shown and we've secured our API manufacturer. We've shown that you can actually take our gel, deliver it over the right period of time, control the release, and we've also just finished a preliminary proof of concept efficacy study in a large animal canine model. We believe the end of 2012, early 2013 when we exit, will be worth somewhere between $100 and $200 million. Here are some of the deals in the CNS, central nervous system space and hospital space. I'll alert you to 2. March 2010, Facet Biopharma was taken out by Abbott for $450 million. They had 2 phase 2 drugs. You look at Hospira, just licensed in Directs, a drug called Positor, which is actually bupivacaine, generic, put in one of their sustained release deliveries, deliver it locally, post-operative surgery. They licensed just U.S. and Canadian rights for $212 million. Ex-U.S. rights are licensed to, the name escapes me, but a European company. This is the clinical data that we've shown that we can take our drug and deliver it over a period of 14 days. So you may ask yourself, why Edge? Well, it's a large, unmet medical need. We've read all of our products, but specifically our lead product is de-risked. FDA-approved product, off-patent, in a proven sustained release formulation of FDA-approved materials. Straightforward and abbreviated regulatory path, strong intellectual property, and we have a virtual team with a solid domain experience. And it's not us that just says this is unique. These are some comments from the NIH on some of our NIH grants that we've written. Important therapeutic advance, impact individuals, approach is unprecedented. So ultimately, in the time that it's taken for me to give this talk, 10 people have suffered sudden brain injury. All of them about our age. Only 1 or 2 will resume normal life. We need your help to change this. Thank you.